Okay, well, you know what? I'm expecting a lot more people on Zoom, but they're not here, but I want to get started for the people that are, and you want to let them know we're gonna get started, the people that have stepped out.
Sure.
And we'll just keep it going. So today we have Cami Baker. Angeline Hart here on our team has introduced me to her. It's kind of interesting. I like it when you guys recommend somebody to me because you're sharing your professional, you're sharing your relationship, kind of like a referral in real estate, right? It's like they're the shit. You should be using that, right? So Angeline comes up to me after one of our trainings with a post-it and says, "You need to call her. She does something very unique. She's an amazing person, has a special niche, and I'd love to share her with more real estate agents." So that's how I connected with Cami. And before we were getting started, we're just kind of getting caught up. And Cami's known Angeline for quite a while, a decade. We kind of decided, right?
Yeah.
About 10 years. Yeah, that's awesome. And so anyway, like I've kind of built this, it's probably a niche you haven't heard of before. I hadn't. And I always like to have trainings on something that makes you say, I've never heard of that before, right? For one, it's going to give us a talking point. It's going to put things on your radar, whereas you listen to this course, when people are talking about charities, nonprofits, and their involvement in those things, or maybe you know somebody that runs one. I know a few people that run nonprofits. I'm good friends with them. And now this is a great lunch topic to take them out or take them to Topgolf. And introduce them to Cami so that they can make the connection on how they can benefit from an alignment with agents that can help them in this process. So super excited for it. Angeline, do you want to say anything? You want to come back up here and say?
Sure. I just see that I see kitties on there, so I was just sending a reminder to Jill,
Perfect.
starting now.
They'll be jumping on. I am recording this. Cami has been generous enough to already share her slides with me, and I'm sure I got permission to share those out with you guys. And her contact information is all over our registration page. Like if you missed all those images or links that go to all her different websites and stuff, go back to that. That's going to be live for a couple more days until I do next week's training. And then I'm sure we're going to get her contact information again here. But Angeline, why don't you introduce Cami and we'll let her get started.
Well, Cami and I have been friends for, like you said, about 10 years. And what I know about Cami is she is a rock star. I mean, she seriously has all the right energy for building a business, for gathering people, and for moving forward. And she's probably going to tell her story, but was a successful realtor for many years, and then got into this unique segment of real estate for helping be able to fund different charities. And it's just to me, it's a really unique combination of her skills and her heart. So
awesome. What a great connection, right?
Yeah.
If people could always connect their skills with their heart, I mean, what a happy life. and I love your name too, our real estate agents of change, real estate agents of change. That in itself has a lot of meaning. So we're all trying to make change, and this is in a very beneficial and charitable way. So Cami, you're up. Go ahead and share your screen when you're ready, and we'll rock and roll.
Well, I'm almost a little choked up to have Angeline be there, and you all are just so generous with your words and your time. So thank you for allowing us to bring you the secret real estate niche that is already funding nonprofits by $9 billion a year. And experts say that it can be $29 billion a year. All we need to do is tell people. All we got to do is educate. So I'm going to share my screen because my story is going to be in the slides a little bit. So I'll just go ahead and jump right in. Now, we call this presentation, How to Create a Purpose-Driven Career, Listing Donated Real Estate. Listing donated real estate? What even is that? Like, people give real estate away? Yeah, as a matter of fact, they do. So today we're going to learn, number one, why this is so purposeful and profitable, and such a big deal when you're wanting to be philanthropic, but also when you want to make money. We're going to learn what is donated real estate and why are property owners wanting to donate real estate, and we'll end it up with how you can be the go-to specialist. Charitable gifting of real estate is a niche, but there are sub niches in that niche: veterans, animals, churches, universities, stopping human trafficking, environment, whatever turns you on, they all need to be funded. And we'll show you today how this works. So why is this so purposeful and profitable? First of all, we like to start all of our presentations with an image to plant in your mind so that you really see this is not about gas stations out Route 66 with tumbleweeds. These are generous, heart-centered, philanthropic people who want to leave legacy, and of course they get a great tax deduction. So Jeff Bezos' ex-wife just at the end of last year donated 2 houses that total $55 million to one nonprofit. This is happening all over the country and has been for over 100 years. So if you will indulge me for just a moment, I'll share with you how we got to be on this video together today. How did I learn about this, and why I know it's such a big deal for you and all realtors, along with our nonprofits and our donors. So this is an image of a woman who was new to real estate. I had moved across the country. I had a baby that was less than 2 years old, and I had a big alcohol problem. So when I got to this new state, this was actually in New Hampshire, I sobered up and I got into real estate. So this is my daughter. She's one of the reasons why I got into real estate. I wanted to be able to spend time with her and take her with me and go on field trips with her. It's one of the field trips we did. I was that cool mom in the 64.5 Mustang following the bus, and the kids were waving and I was honking. And that was why I wanted to be in real estate. I wanted to be able to be a part of her life a lot more. Now, the first company I was with was Remax, and I used to bring the hot air balloon, which is something most of them don't take on. You got to prove that you're going to bring the community, you're going to get exposure and PR. And we most definitely did that. We did this one at the Boys and Girls Club in New Hampshire, and we would give tethered rides. And then after a few years with Remax, I actually did a TV show with Century 21 called The Real Estate Roadshow. So just giving you a little bit of history in that it was all this experience in real estate. Friends, I was calling expired listings. What? Expireds for sell by owners, making all those icky calls, handling objections, role playing at 7 o'clock in the morning. So when I tell you, I know what it's like to be a realtor, that ain't no joke. So while I was a real estate agent, I did HGTV. I auditioned for this one. My House is Worth What? I actually put an actual video cassette in an envelope to audition for that organization. And then they introduced me to House Hunters, which was one of the biggest coups of my career in real estate. And this leads me into my car. So this car is why you and I are on here today. When I got my first big commission check, I bought this car as my dream car, 64.5 Mustang convertible. And I started doing antique car shows. I wanted to promote myself and my business and be seen and be heard. But here's what happened. The very first year we did the car show, we had 50 cars show up. They all had a $20 bill in their hand. And my assistant said, why aren't we taking their money? And I said, because we're not doing it to make money. We're doing it to get PR and exposure. But I got to thinking, $20 times 50 cars, that's $1,000. There's a lot of nonprofits that could use $1,000. So I found one. And for the next 7 years, when we did the antique car show, we gave the money to nonprofit. And what I learned was when I was out at networking events, when I was calling my past clients, when I was calling the mortgage and the title companies and doing all the prospecting that I would do, now I was talking about social responsibility. I could say, hey, you know, we're doing the car show. It's coming up. Money goes to saving horses at the Live and Let Live farm. We're looking for businesses like title and mortgage that want to sponsor. We're looking for people who love cars. We're looking for people who want to help the horses. And I learned that social responsibility isn't just the right thing to do. It's really, really smart when it comes to business development. So over the years, I became known for cause marketing, marketing your business with a cause in mind, how to bring your personal heart space into your professional pocketbook. And so in this image is a president of the board of realtors up in New England. She hired me to help her do some cause marketing campaigns. Now, this was long before I knew about gifts of real estate. So we did diaper drives and we raised up 8,000 diapers for a place that was helping women that were coming off of opioids and having babies. We did, the woman on the right is a client that we did she was my Botox doctor. I haven't had Botox since the pandemic, but I would help her get more clients. This is Jacksonville Real Estate Association. They wanted me to fly down and teach them about social responsibility. And I said, only if I can practice what I preach. So we did a coat drive, and those are all coats back on the back table. And over the years, this was a woman that owned her own real estate company. She wanted to help Habitat for Humanity. Karen and I created Realtors for Recovery, and it was all about the opioid epidemic. We helped nonprofits to gather up coats in Boston. We would have boxes at 10 or 20 different physical locations. And this is how we were out building business and being seen. We did events for pets. We did events for poker runs. We did stuff to help our veterans. So I'm just sharing with you a little bit of a background, because 3 years ago, when I was sitting in a conference and I heard the speaker mention charitable gifting of real estate, I had all of this real estate, like knowing what it's like to door knock and cold call and go to networking events where I was never the only realtor in the room and always looking for a unique sales proposition. And how can I stand out and be different? And then I also was helping all these nonprofits and Ronald McDonald and Make-A-Wish. And I had never heard of charitable gifting of real estate. But these two filters of real estate and nonprofit is what led us to, there's 2 million realtors in this country. What if we brought it to the attention of 1%? Not everybody, just the ones that are already community focused. They're already giving 10% of their commission. They're already wanting to leave a legacy. So right here in the middle, this woman in the middle is one of our biggest advocates. Jessica Peterson is an EXP agent in Florida. She introduced us to the nonprofit, the woman on the left. And this photo is in the book. It's in the newspaper. We are just really honored to be sharing this information nationwide. My fiance and our dog are traveling in our rig. And this is a 5-foot image of the book. Real estate is hot. Fundraising is not. 5 keys to revolutionize how charities and champions and communities are getting funded. Now, in April, we have List a Legacy Listing Month. We started it last year. It is a bona fide monthly kind of a thing, like, bring your kid to school week or bake a cookie day or what have you. It's actually on the calendar of events for this country. So this is all to say that this is such a purposeful niche. It is so needed. It is desperately needed, as a matter of fact. Now, this is another example. This property was donated in Rhode Island a couple of years ago to the Martin Luther King Community Center. And now I want to talk to you about the profit. How do you actually make money, making a difference? Why is this so profitable and so needed? Well, this is the biggest, baddest, boldest social responsibility campaign ever, because instead of picking 1 or 3 or 5 or 7 nonprofits to give donations to and sell raffle tickets for and go to another golf tournament, what if you could help hundreds in your community and get paid to do it? So clients, customers, and consumers have spoken. They want businesses to step up. They will give the businesses that are on purpose their business. So just a few statistics around this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I do want to encourage you to go through the slides and take a peek. But what all these numbers are telling us is that consumers will choose a company that is socially responsible over one that's not. As a matter of fact, up here at the top, 71% of millennials, look, if you want to build a team, a real estate team, you better have a way to be socially responsible, because a lot of those millennials won't even work for you or with you if you're not. And Americans have spoken, this number on the very bottom, 87% of consumers, and this has been numbers I've been looking at for 10 years, long before I knew about charitable real estate. 87% of them will choose the company, the service provider, the product that is on purpose. If there are 3 realtors up for that listing and they see that you are a charitable real estate champion and your goal is to fund your community by $3 million this year, who do you think they're going to choose? So the question is, who are the nonprofits that you want to serve and support? And I'd love to have that conversation. Well, at the end of the presentation, I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to put it in the chat, please tell me. Jeff was saying that he loves wounded warriors. He wants to help, you know, our veterans and so many others that he mentioned. And what if I told you that you didn't have to pick that 1 or that 3? Guys, you can help all of them. Statistically, there are 499 nonprofits per county in this country. There's 2,400 nonprofits per county in Florida. There's 5,000 nonprofits per county in California. So what would your cause or your community do with $600,000? Now, why do we say that number? And I'm going to sit here for just a second. Think about all the fundraisers we do, how it takes 3 to 6 months to put together a golf tournament, and you hope it raises 50,000, or the 3 to 6 months for that gala. I just did a presentation like this for a nonprofit. She said, Cami, it takes me 9 months to do our gala. She said, I come out of pocket $10,000 to reserve the room and to hire the band and blah, blah, blah. And our goal is to bring in 20,000 to pay back my 10,000 and have a $10,000 profit. Holy cow, do they need a better way to get funded? So why do we say 600,000? Because that is the average donation from one piece of real estate. That is the equity. That is the average equity from one gift of real estate. So we're right now we're in the profit. We're talking about profit. How does this make money? So in the United States, there's 1.5 million nonprofits, and in Utah, there's over 19,000. And in this country, there are 2 million realtors, and there's 19,000 in Utah, give or take what website you go to. So let's take a look at this. If in Utah, there's an average here of about 600 nonprofits per county, and this plays out all over the country. We're just using Utah for our example. What if 10% of those nonprofits got a gift of real estate? What if 60 nonprofits in your community got a gift of real estate? But that might be too generous. That might be too pie in the sky. What if just 1%? What if just 6? And out of your group of folks, out of the people right here on this video right now, there's 6 nonprofits represented that could get a donation of real estate. At the average equity, you'd be bringing in over $3 million to your community by helping nonprofits get funded through real estate. Now, I'm going to talk about commission, but this is only from the equity. So remember that the list price is what you're going to get paid commission on. And that list price could be $1 million or $2 million or $5 million. As a matter of fact, this is a listing that was put on the market in May, 7.5 million. And I love showing these properties because, as you can see, This is not vacant land in the middle of nowhere that no one wants. This is not about people trying to unload their garbage. This is about people that are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. We all know this. We know that the baby boomer folks are selling property, they're liquidating estates, they're moving to Florida or California, they're rearranging what they're doing, and they're gonna liquidate this property anyway. If we let them know that they can leave legacy with it, they appreciate that. So part two, what is donated real estate and why are they wanting to donate? Let me just say, first of all, the donors are a yes. A yes to what? Well, this is not for all property owners. Obviously, not everybody can give real estate away, but we do not sell people on this. Thank you, Lord. All those tens of thousands of phone calls, hundreds of thousands of calls I've made to expireds and for sale by owners, wincing, almost hoping they didn't pick up the phone because I was getting ready to have to handle some objections and it was going to be icky and the whole thing. No, this is talking to people about a beautiful heart-centered thing. And for those that want to leave legacy and need a tax deduction, they're a yes. They're a yes, not because you sold them on it or convinced them of it, but because you educated them and because they want to. And this is why they want to donate real estate. 80% of them, they are veterans and they want to help our veterans. They own ranches and they want to see the land conserved. They are, survivors of cancer and want to fix that. They want to stop human trafficking. They got a house full of animals and they want to help the animals. So imagine these people that are already on your past client list. Imagine the people that you've seen and met over the last 10, 20 years that have the American flag outside. He's a veteran. He knows veterans. He might know somebody that wants to donate real estate. She's got 14 cats. She loves animals. We know these people. Now, 20% of them are doing it because they do want the tax benefit. We've got story after story of people who have donated real estate, not even really caring who got the money. It was just part of their estate planning. So either way, what we want you to know is they don't pay capital gains on that which they donate. And they have the ability to write off the appraised value of the property as the basis of their tax deduction. Now, we're all real estate people. We know that if there's a mortgage to be paid off or if they pull cash out, they're going to pay tax on that. But that also leads me to say the property does not need to be free and clear. It can have a mortgage. They can pull cash out. If it's $1 million property and they only want to write off $500,000, they can get $500,000 cash out of it. So donations of real estate, $9 billion a year, $9 billion a year, average donation of $600,000, 99% of donations need a realtor to list it. Can't give those billions of dollars to the nonprofit world unless the property has been sold. So 99% of realtors don't know about it. Don't know about it. I didn't know about it. Jeff didn't know about it. The only people that know about it are the ones that I interview who've already done a transaction. This is the secret niche that we are shining a spotlight on. Now, the Real Agents of Change was born, and taking legacy listings is a no-brainer because of all these statistics that we are giving you. Now, this has been around for 100 years. It's 1917 tax law. Doesn't matter what state it is. People will say, well, Cami, how does it work in my state? Works the same way in your state as it does in all states. It's a US tax code. It's called a tax deduction. And $9 billion a year already. So you might be thinking, okay, so why have I never heard of it? Such a big deal. Why have I never heard of it? Why have realtors not been taught this before? Why are the nonprofits struggling to get funded when there's so much abundance in real estate? You know, people's cash, we only have 3% of our wealth in cash in this nation. 43% of our wealth is held in real estate. So why have you never heard of it? Well, the fact is 1.5 million nonprofits, 99.9% of them are not only not asking for real estate, but they are turning it down. It scares them to death. It is so risky. So there are 3 ways that a property owner can benefit a nonprofit through a gift of real estate. And the first 2 ways you could imagine, you could figure them out on your own, but it's the 3rd way. It's the win-win-win way that you're here to learn about so that we can bring this to the attention of the whole marketplace. So, number 1, let's say there's a church in Utah and that church has a donor and the donor has a condo in Florida. And the donor wants to give the proceeds to the church. So the church says to them, well, tell you what, Bob, go sell your condo and give us the proceeds. Well, let me tell you why this is the worst way. First of all, the government is going to receive the most this way, whether it's capital gains, whether it's less that this gentleman can write off of his adjusted gross income. The fact is the government is going to get their share, which means that the donor receives the least amount of tax benefits. The nonprofit is going to receive the least amount of donation. And ultimately, it's old-fashioned, it's outdated, it's lazy, it's what people do when they don't know any better. So if you ever hear of somebody saying, I'm going to sell my property and give the proceeds, let's stop them. Let's make sure that the church gets the most amount of money. This is the worst way. Now, the second way, let's say Bob's got this condo in Florida. It's appraised at $1 million. It's got a $200,000 mortgage on it. And he tries to donate it to the church. Now, I do know that there are some very sophisticated churches in Utah that may have a real estate department. There's less than 0.5% of nonprofits nationwide that can do it. So some can, but the majority of the time, 99.5% of the time, they just can't take it. So if the donor tries to donate this condo to his church in Oregon or in Utah, here's the thing. The nonprofit would be required to pay off that mortgage. So when you think about it, the donor wants a tax deduction. They're donating to a 501c3. The church has got to take title, or a 501c3 has to take title so that Bob gets his tax deduction. So somebody's got to pay off that mortgage for that title to exchange hands. What if Bob says, you know, I love my church, but I don't love them that much. I paid 200 grand for this thing 10 years ago. I'd like to get that money back in my pocket. Well, somebody's got to give him that money too. The church or the veteran group or the animal shelter, whoever the nonprofit is that he wants to give it to, would be responsible for the maintenance and upkeep. They would have to pay for the water. And God forbid, it's in Florida. What if Hurricane Ian comes through and blows it off the map? And what if Bob says, I want to give part of the proceeds to the church and part of it to the soup kitchen and part of it over here. Now, one nonprofit is doing all this work, and now they're being asked to give part of the proceeds to other nonprofits. Friends, the problem here is they don't have the time, they don't have the talent, and they don't have, in this situation, 400 grand to take that property so that they can get the 500 something thousand dollars worth of equity out of it. 99.9% of nonprofits will not do it. It is the hardest way. So these first 2 ways that I just explained are why you've never heard of this and why it's never been taught to realtors, because there's no point in teaching it to you if you're going to go to 99% of nonprofits who say, we don't take real estate. Sorry, we don't take it. Go sell it and give us the proceeds. That's why we're not hearing about it. This is an example, another piece of property that was donated to a university. Now, they actually kept this property, but most of these properties are from anywhere in the country for any nonprofit to be liquidated and give them the cash. Part number 3, how can you be the go-to specialist? Now, I know we're going through this really, really fast, and we usually do this in 3 separate parts and actually stop for Q&A in between, but let's just get right down to the meat of the matter. How can you be the go-to specialist? Introducing the win-win-win way. This is what we advocate for. This is how this is risk-free for all nonprofits, how they have no money out of pocket, and how you can show up as the hero in your community. This is why nonprofits and property owners need you. So the third way is this. We at the Real Agents of Change have put together a team of experts. One piece of that puzzle is something called a specialized nonprofit. Now, if the Boys and Girls Club is here to help boys and girls after school to be safe and taken care of, and the church is here to spread the message of the Lord, and the veteran groups are here to make sure that our veterans aren't committing suicide and they got a warm bed to sleep in, this specialized nonprofit, all they do from morning to night, all they do is accept real estate on behalf of any and all other nonprofits and facilitate it. So this is why this is risk-free for any nonprofit. This is why there's no money out of pocket to handle the transaction, because this third party is taking care of everything. They have capital. So let's say this condo down in Florida needs to have a $200,000 mortgage paid off. Bob wants $200,000 in his pocket. What if it needs a $20,000 new kitchen? That's okay. That's what they do. The property does not need to be free and clear. As we mentioned, it's got a mortgage on it. Bob wants some cash. The donor does not need to donate the full value. In this situation, he's donating about $600,000. The donor receives the full array of tax benefits immediately. So here's what it looks like. Donor says to the church, hey, I got this condo in Florida. I'm thinking about donating it to you. Church introduces to us and our specialized nonprofit. Specialized nonprofit can pay off that mortgage, give him his money, and take him off the title within 30 days. So in this scenario, the nonprofit world receives the maximum amount of donation. The donor gets the maximum amount of tax benefits immediately, and 100% of the 1.5 million nonprofits are eligible. There is a handful of nonprofits that do it themselves, but even they need help from our team on occasion. This is the win-win-win way. Now, it's a win for the nonprofits because the donors can give 3 to 7 times more. The same donors on their donor list. Please don't let your churches or your nonprofits fall into the scarcity mindset that they don't know anyone with real estate, or they don't know anyone that would donate real estate, or their donor list isn't big enough. Nothing could be further from the truth. People are cash conservative and asset rich. We don't know until we talk to them. Now, no additional donors are needed. We're going to say that in a little bit different way. You know, when you think about your real estate business, isn't it easier? Isn't it more efficient and effective to go back to the same clients you've had in the past and have them hire you again, or have them give you a referral? It's the same thing for the nonprofits. To have the same donors on their donor list be able to switch to a different type of asset to give is a lot easier than going out and trying to find 100 new donors. It's the same donors. And Dr. Russell James, who wrote the foreword for our book, has proven, there's research, that nonprofits that accept cash only versus nonprofits that take non-cash assets grow at 6 times the rate. So this is a win for the nonprofits. Now, why is it a win for the donors? Well, no capital gains tax. You might be wondering, how does this compare to a 1031 exchange? Well, no capital gains tax is kind of where that similarity stops. When someone's doing a 1031, They're exchanging up and keeping their investment going. This is about someone avoiding capital gains and getting out of the real estate and leaving legacy. Now, the average appraised value as the basis for their tax deduction. So in this scenario, they're even writing off your commission. So there is more to be said about this. We really go over all this in detail in our Charitable Real Estate Masterclass. We do it 2 times a month live, and we have it recorded. I'll tell you about that at the end. They can give smarter. 43%, friends, is in real estate. 3% is in cash. We are helping. We go from being a real estate agent or a realtor to being an advisor of the wealthy, an advisor to people who want to be philanthropic, an advisor to the nonprofits who are wanting to educate their donors because they want to give smarter. They need the deductions and they want to leave legacy. They are so much wanting to help, but they're cash conservative and asset rich. That's where we all come in. Now, how does it benefit the realtor? Well, let's talk about that. Full commission. This is not about you doing it for a discount because it's nonprofit work. This is not about you giving a donation. This is about you getting paid a full commission, put money in your pocket to give the nonprofit on average $600,000. So instead of taking money out of our pocket to give them 10%, which is beautiful and valiant, and it is a wonderfully generous thing to do, what if we were actually giving them hundreds of thousands and keeping the money in our pocket? 87% of your market will want to work with you when you're helping folks like this. Imagine having a picture in the newspaper of you handing a check for $300,000 to the Boys and Girls Club. In other words, this is a PR dream. Now, when you can make money making a difference and put money in your pocket, see, this is how you don't have to limit yourself to the 2 or 5 or 7 that you normally have time or talent or treasure to support. Now, you support all of them because it's not coming out of your pocket, it's going in your pocket. This is a great example when people say, well, that's all well and good, Cami, but who would really, really donate real estate? People like this, people that you want to know, people that you want on your speed dial. This community foundation received 129 million. Now imagine if you brought that person to the table, you were part of that. Imagine just getting the referral fees on this property all over the country. Now, you can be the go-to specialist. We have something called Certified Charitable Real Estate Specialist. And you can be the go-to for all nonprofits in your market, for the high net worth clientele in your market, for the generous multiple property owners. You know, you can have that niche of helping veterans. You can have the niche of helping animals or churches or universities or just for everyone. But I see with all, especially with Jeff having his whole family in real estate, imagine if this one is the one that really loves veterans. And over here, we're helping churches. And over here, this person does the universities. It's just a great way to have a charitable real estate division. So you can have hundreds, thousands of CPAs, financial professionals. Think about all those title companies and mortgage companies. Everybody's so competitive. But when your realtors are the only ones that are certified, that are actually able to bring them business, this is a whole different conversation. Think of the staff. Remember, 10% of this country works for nonprofits. So staff, volunteers, followers, all of them are going to want to work with you. They're all buying and selling and investing. Why would they work with anyone else when you're the only realtor that's helping the property owners give smarter and helping any and all nonprofits to facilitate these donations and helping your communities? We call it leverage real estate for real change. So you be the solution. Let me share with you this last story, and then we'll bring it to a close to see if you have questions. Berkeley Humane Society, December of 21. Donor comes to the table. He's got 12 lots. He needs a tax deduction. It's December 10th. But because this team that we work with, this is all they do. This is it. They know what they're doing. He needed the tax deduction in that 21-day period before the end of the year. So they took title. He got his tax deduction. He's happy. Now they put the property on the market, and there's a little over 400,000 that comes from selling these lots. So Berkeley Humane says, we got how much from what? What? We didn't know this was possible. Can we get more? Yes, you can. So they started calling their donor base, and they said, we don't know how this works. We don't have a clue. But this guy just donated real estate, gave us the biggest donation we've ever had. We were told to just let you all know. And if you have any real estate, you need a tax deduction, you can help us. So a woman said, yes, I've got this. My mother left me this 55 and older house in Carmel, California. I'm never going to use it. You can have it. 646,000. So here's the moral of the story. One nonprofit, two donations, not 6 months of campaign for 18 golf tournaments, two donations, 6 months, a little over $1 million. Now, if you go to their website, right, this Red Hot Minute, you'll see that they got a really fancy page about accepting real estate. But they didn't have that fancy page. What they had was a phone and a desire. And they called some people and they made it happen. So, Charitable Real Estate Specialist. Here's what it looks like to have this program. Charitable Real Estate Masterclass. We do it live on the first and the third Tuesday of the month. It is a 3-hour deep dive. And we also have it recorded for people who can't wait in between the 2 weeks in between. This is where you really get 95% of your questions answered and really start to think about the magnitude of what this is. Now, you also get certified. We're the only organization in the country or the world that has this designation. And you also get put on our map. So as you see this map, if you hover over the map, you'll see different folks around the country that are certified, realtors, financial advisors, nonprofits. We even have radio stations, therapists. There's several different types of folks that aren't even in real estate that just want to be a part of the solution. So specialist package is normally $400. That's what it's been for the last couple of years. If you go to our website, that's what you'll see it for. But we want to give you 50% off. Here's the code. And happy to have you take a picture of that. I'll pop it in the chat so that you have the code, and we'll give you 24 hours to use that code. And then you're more than welcome to come on the first or the third Tuesday, or just watch the recording. But the more people that come on the live training, the more fun and exciting it is for us. That's the end of the presentation. I'm just going to pop in the chat our website and this code, and I'd love to have any questions.
You guys on Zoom, feel free to just unmute yourself. You got a question? Anybody here? So in the chat there, Cami, Tracy says that she has a nonprofit called Camp Hope for Hero. It is a good idea to use. Is it a good idea to use my own nonprofit?
Absolutely. We meet realtors all over the country who have their own nonprofits. What better way to double dip than to build your business and build your nonprofit at the same time? As a matter of fact, if you get a copy of our book, and Angeline has a copy of it, Jeff, I need to send you one. At the beginning of the book, we have something called the warning. Now that you know what you know, it's you know, you kind of have a moral obligation to share it with people. And why not start with your own nonprofit?
That was a good answer, huh, Tracy? So let me ask a question about the certification to work with your organization. Is it geographically specific for, like, is it territorial? Can we all kind of participate in one little demographic? What does that look like?
It's nationwide, it's anywhere. We are currently in Florida, and Florida is the first state to give us accreditation for a 3-hour CE class. But all of the country is open to the certification and the master class. We have people in, gosh, I think maybe 23 states at this point. And to have as a matter of fact, I'm flying to Denver next weekend to do the Mile High Top 100 Realtor Gala, blah, blah. We're giving away 3 Charitable Real Estate Champion packages, which includes landing pages and some marketing and stuff like that. So it's for the whole country. The goal here is that we're actually leaving Florida and going to Texas in a couple of weeks, and we'll be doing a lot of presentations out that way as well. So it's nationwide.
Awesome.
And we flew to Puerto Rico 2 years ago to meet with Gene Frederick. And we met with Gene at his palatial estate and shared with him and his wife and a few other leaders there about this. As a matter of fact, I'll put in the chat an interview that I did with him. It is therock.com/EXP. And happy to have you watch that. Gene Frederick didn't know about this. Friends, I promise you, there is no other realtor in your marketplace that knows about this. But by 2025, the goal is to have charitable real estate divisions with charitable real estate specialists in every community. And it might as well be your organization that's leading the charge in Utah.
No, that's fantastic. So Tracy also asked if there was a website. I think you put that in the chat there, Cami. Up top, Tracy, if you scroll up, therock.com/store is probably where you can get more information on that masterclass. Is that right, Cami?
It is. And I just put another link, therock.com/hot. That link has 20-minute overviews from the perspective of realtors, nonprofits, and donors that you can review. It's got the top FAQs, the questions we get the most are covered there. There are 14 case studies, commercial, raw land, residential. You get to meet the specialized nonprofit there. There's interviews with Dr. Russell James, all kinds of good stuff over there to get more information than you need.
Awesome. One more in the chat I see from Kitty. She's wondering if the designation is recognized by NAR, and is there an annual cost to maintain it?
Fabulous question. Kitty, we don't have time for NAR to figure it out and to get we are doing this because it's the right thing to do. We are spreading the information because the nonprofits need us. Now, having said that, now that we are CE accredited in Florida, the next state might be Texas, and we'll be doing that all over the country. And the more introductions that are made and the more handshakes we do, eventually it'll be accredited by NAR. But we just don't have time to wait for somebody else to figure it out. We really want this information. It's like when people have been asking me since the beginning about CE credit, and I said, you know, I don't really want to just do it just because somebody needs 3 hours of credit. I want people to come because they want to fund the nonprofits. So it's not, but if you know somebody there, we would be thrilled to have an introduction to make it happen faster.
And the second half of their question.
Oh, and the annual cost, whatever the investment is that you make, because we've had it for 400, and now that we've got it for the 200, if you come in at 200, you're grandfathered in for that $200 to be your annual maintenance fee. And you'll always have updates to the master class, and we're always adding extra case studies, et cetera, et cetera. So the answer to your question is $200 is the annual fee if that's the price you come in at.
So Cami, I actually think there's value in it not being a CE. This is just personal opinion. Because a lot of people attend CE credits specifically to pad their bank so that they can renew their license, and they're not really there for the right reasons. I feel like when you get attendance on educational and learning purposes only, you kind of weed out some of those people, and you get the ones that are really serious about maybe pursuing the education.
You're absolutely right. Thrive Real Estate School. They do all this free classes around the country. I think they're in 37 states now. When I met them a couple of years ago, they said, we don't really want you to get it CE accredited. We'd rather have it on our website as personal development because we get more serious people that watch that. But you're absolutely right. And that's why I didn't bother for the longest time. But frankly, it shows a lot of credibility. It raises the eyebrow of the highbrow to hear that it's accredited. And that's all well and good. But I'd much rather do these kinds of meetings. And, you know, Jeff, when we're talking about putting people in a room, this is a great way to do some recruiting. If any and all of you wanted to gather up those 2 or 3 realtors that you've been wanting to talk to, you've been wanting to chat them up about EXP, you can always reach out to them and say, hey, you know, Charitable Gifts of Real Estate, this is what our group is doing. Love to have you come learn about it. And I always have to preface it with, we're not doing bait and switch. We're not telling them about charitable real estate and then doing an EXP presentation. But what we are doing is we're meeting them in a completely different, heart-centered way. And now that they get to know you, of course, the rest of it is just a natural progression.
Yes, I love that. It's a great way to make a relationship, a start of a relationship or continuing a relationship. And Cami, you were talking to Debbie a little bit before we actually started the class. Debbie's a lender. And so those relationships can be pursued too, guys, with like Debbie's probably going to connect with Cami now after this. She's got a list of agents that she works with that aren't just with our group, just all over, you know, the state and where she works. And so connect with your lenders too, and kind of help that relationship by introducing them to somebody like Cami that then now they can help their other agents. And you kind of get that credit for offering value and being involved in the introductions, and you might make some relationships yourself.
And maybe we can get Cami to come out to Utah.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's do it.
How far are you guys from Dallas?
I'm skipping along.
One way.
Yeah.
Still a ways.
flight.
Do you have connections to get the CE certified if you would like to chat about that?
I didn't get that, Jeff.
Debbie, you're too far away from the mic. It's over here. Say that again.
Yeah, I teach a lot of CE classes. That's what we're known for at my branch. So we do have connections there if you want to chat about that after.
Okay, sure, love to. I'm just gonna
Anybody
put my
else?
cell phone number and my email address.
Who's in trouble now?
Yeah.
I'm actually glad more people didn't come.
Right.
Right?
No, this is like, you know what, the great thing about sharing stuff like this is it still like puts things in people's head, and not everybody's going to take advantage of the certification, and they're not going to do it to that level, but somewhere along the line, because they heard of this, they might be able to help one, you know, organization 3 years from now or whatever. So it's still definitely, it's not like you're going to saturate your market by sharing information, because you know most people don't do anything with it.
Yeah, we're sharing.
Amen
We're
to
sharing.
that.
Yeah, who
That
said
is
that?
so
Who said
true.
sharing? More sharing, more.
Sharing.
I like it. More sharing, more caring.
To decide what systems you want to do. You can't spread yourself too thin doing all of the systems. So yeah, it's so beautiful, but not everyone is going to want to do it.
Right, right. And everybody should kind of have like a passion and a purpose behind what they do, right? And maybe they're searching for that. Real estate agents tend to flounder and jump from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. And then they come across something like this that just truly resonates with them, and maybe that's where they land. I don't think real estate agents should do everything. I don't think they should do, you know, the cold calling and the SOI and the open
Charity.
and the charity and this, you know, pick something and run.
But at least when you find something that really resonates with you, because I love this, because I've already been starting to set up things with Habitat for Humanity. Because affordable housing for new home buyers is such a thing, so. Yeah.
Cami, this was a rock star presentation.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So great.
Well, I'm honored. I'm honored to have such a wonderful group of people that are so attentive. I do these presentations a lot, and I don't always have such just a wonderful group. So thank you for having me. Angelina can share any other information that maybe I've forgotten. I'd love to get some books out to you, Jeff. If you want to get 20 or more, I can give them to you for 50% off. If you want to do give them to all your agents or do some kind of a handout or whatever. Let's talk about how we can really bring this into your state in a big way.
I love it. I love it. Thanks so much for your time, Cami. I appreciate you, and we will be in touch.
Fair enough.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
I'm gonna cut